Wes Goldberg, happy Thursdays. We're recording this. Cold open question for you is a visual one. So before 2 weeks ago now, I don't know, time's fake. I went to Cavs Celtics. No, was it Cavs Celtics? I don't remember what game it was. It was Max Strus bobblehead night. Is the most important thing here. So here's the Max Strus bobblehead. This is from his full court game-winning shot from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Scale of 1 to 10. How much does this actually look like Max Strus?
Well, before he grew the hair out, it's a lot closer.
So you can't. I don't know. You can't. They kind of obscured the face, but the face to me just is really the thing here. And I know these things are hard, and like you're mass producing them and whatnot. That does not look like Max Strus's face. Is sort of my point here.
Yeah, they never really. I feel like they just have generic white bobblehead and generic black bobblehead, and then they just sort of create the jersey and try to get the hair right. I remember Draymond Green talking about one of his bobbleheads, and his biggest issue was that they got the sideburns wrong. That like he had like these big chunky like 1960s sideburns, and he's like, dude, I taper these things up. Like, why do I have these puppies on the side of my face right now? And that was like his biggest issue with Draymond Green bobblehead night. So it's funny actually talking. Nick Friedel, when he used to work for ESPN, he had this great story about bobbleheads and what the players do with them, because I guess they get like boxes of free bobbleheads when they have a bobblehead night for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of these sort of players just have boxes of their own bobbleheads like stacked in their basement in their houses. So the bobblehead thing, it's a strange phenomenon, but I'm glad you got one. That's cool.
Yeah, I randomly have had a good run of going to bobblehead games the last like 2 years.
How many would you say you own?
Well, the Cavs one wise, they're all behind me.
Okay, so you have 3 now.
Well,
4?
so I have the Kelsey brothers.
Okay, good. Good to have
I
them.
I have Miles Garrett, which they gave out this year, and he's a part owner of the team. Could have gone a completely different direction of energy if he had in fact gotten his original wish and been traded. I have Nick Gilbert when they did a Nick Gilbert one. My best one is one I bought after the finals, because I was like, what's the funny... In retrospect, should have bought like LeBron.
Sure, but you ended up with J.R. Smith.
I bought J.R. Smith as like a bit in 2016 because
that actually kind of looks like J.R. Smith, though. They did a good job on that one.
And it's also heavier is the thing. Like this is like it's got a nice like heft to it. I recently, because I'm dishwashed, I guess, I got like a thing in my algorithm on Instagram for Brandon Walker is a Barstool personality. He does what he calls mantiquing. And one of the things he had found a old Mickey Mantle bobblehead, and it was like literally metal. Gotta just say, the ones we get now, not that hefty, except for that J.R. Smith one, which actually looks like him and has some weight to it. But most of these, they're just, I feel like if I drop them one time, it's going to shatter. Like I had a Mark Price one that I dropped when I moved, and Mark Price died in the move.
It's unfortunate, the casualties of moving, but I have 0 bobbleheads. I don't own a single one. And I've looked into maybe purchasing and investing into a bobbleheads miniature collection, but I feel like once you start, it's one of those things that you can't stop, and I'm hesitant to jump into that because I have an addictive personality, Chris.
So do I. I think a lot of us do. I will say I've only gotten them when I've gone to games that, like, now that I'm not covering games anymore, if I get a ticket for a game and that's when I get the bobblehead. I'm not like you, except for the JR one.
I would like to lobby on behalf of all media that when we're attending these games, give us a bobblehead. We could that every beat writer, everybody's doing podcasts now. It's a great way to maybe just get your team in these backgrounds. Like you have yours in your background.
Yeah.
These staffs, these PR staffs and everything, they should be bending over backwards to give us more free things, is my humble opinion.
Do the Heat send out packages for like All-Star and stuff like that? Like do you get like the PR packages for voting even if you don't like I didn't have a vote, but I would get like 2 years ago I got or maybe 3 years ago, I got like a Cavs like PR package for like All-Star game. They had like a light up box and stuff. It was like a whole thing. They should just like, here's a Bam Adebayo bobblehead for All-Star.
So the Heat do very little campaigning on behalf of their players, and I actually think it's a problem.
That's very Heat culture, by the way, though. That's like very that's
right.
very
it's
like
the jersey
that fits,
above all else. We don't need individual accolades. What even is an All-Star game? So yeah, the Heat aren't the best at this.
I feel like the only bobblehead. I feel like if you are gonna get one bobblehead, I think you need. I like a Miami Vice Dwayne Wade bobblehead would be the one.
Yeah,
And
that
then
would
if
be
you do
it.
that, if you ever buy that, I will find a Deion Waiters Miami Vice one, even if I have to like find it from
That
like
actually
Team
might be
Never.
the better one.
Honestly, you're not wrong. We all need more little Deion Waiters energy, I think, in our life to some degree.
Philly cheese.
Anyway, yeah, shut up. On today's show, Luka Doncic played in Dallas for the first time since the trade. We're going to talk about that because not even the game necessarily, but just the environment, because I don't think we've seen anything quite like that. And then we're going to go through bets, our favorite bets, looking at awards, looking at playoffs, now that we're starting to get some odds on various things throughout the playoffs. We're going to get into all that on today's Just Basketball Show as the regular season winds down. Let's go. What is up, everyone? Chris Manning, Wes Goldberg here with you on the Just Basketball Show. If you have not already, please subscribe, rate, review on your podcast platform of choice. Hit that notification bell on YouTube. Leave that 5-star rating and review, please, and thank you. And Wes, we are powered today by our friends at BetMGM.
That's right. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code JustBasketball and you'll get up to $1,500 in a first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Sign up using the code JustBasketball. Deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure to use the bonus code JustBasketball when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to wager. Terms and conditions apply.
Wes, let's talk about Luka Doncic first here because it goes back to Dallas. I've read every single story I could find about this because I wasn't there. Watched the game. I was at my parents' house for some family stuff. My dad and I watched it. Had my phone off and we just observed it and we're talking about it, trying to just zone in on every little detail. Read stories. There's like a bunch of people that seem to have like flown in just to go to this game. Understandably, like fan wise, even just because I think it's just the weirdest thing. And we live in this content creator. People do that kind of stuff. I have never seen a game like that in my life, regardless of sport. It fits considering the trade. I don't think I can't think that we're ever going to see anything like that again. Like I can't even remember like the last time a return game felt like this vital. Like guys kind of move a little bit more now. And the most time when people come back, it's like a little bit negative. It's a little bit tenuous because usually these things will leave in kind of fractured terms. Maybe Clay back in Golden State is the close example, but that felt obviously a little bit different. This just was the only word I can think of is bizarre, just because of like how emotional it was. And then Luka kind of did exactly what you would have predicted he was going to do in that game.
Yeah, I mean, the context around it was completely different than any other one of these sort of big marquee, big ticket return games, right? You think maybe the most intense return game ever was LeBron James returning to Cleveland in 2011, the 2010-2011 season. But that was vitriol. That was people burning jerseys. That was people chanting that LeBron James sucks. And LeBron was the enemy in that game because he made the decision to leave. You think about Kevin Durant going back to Oklahoma City, the cupcake of it all. That was Kevin Durant deciding to leave. Luka Doncic never wanted to leave. He was looking for a forever home in Dallas. He thought he was going to be the next Dirk Nowitzki. That was sort of his idol, and he wanted to follow in his footsteps, and he considered himself a Texan, right? He got there when he was 19, and he grew up in Dallas. So when he basically wakes up and finds out that he's getting traded to the Lakers, he's been very open. Somebody who's, by the way, pretty guarded with the media, has been very open, and I celebrate that, but he's been very open about how emotional this journey has been for him. And I was really interested to see how he was going to respond to the tribute video. And first of all, they did a great job with the tribute video.
Yes.
It started with draft night and went all the way to the finals last year, and had some of the greatest highlight. And you're like, man, it doesn't feel like Luka's been in the league that long, and he's already got so many incredible moments. When you think about draft night, getting traded to Dallas on draft night, what he was able to do in the bubble, all these, the Western Conference Finals run, and then the NBA Finals run last year, all these things that he's accomplished. And he's not only getting teary-eyed, you could see his bottom lip quivering.
Yes.
Like, I thought he was going to absolutely break down. And then he comes out and scores 31 points in the first half. But here's why I really thought it was different, Chris, than anything else. It was an intense atmosphere, and there's been a lot of intense atmospheres with some of these return games. But what really stood out to me was, well, there's a lot of things, but I think what made this different was that the whole arena wasn't rooting against the guy coming back. The whole arena was with Luka.
Exactly.
But there was an enemy, and the enemy was Nico Harrison.
Yeah.
And that's what was so strange about it, is that everybody in that building knew what was up. Everybody had read the stories, heard all the things, saw the interviews, all of it. They said Nico Harrison was the guy who traded this guy away. Dallas Mavericks teammates were happy to see Luka. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't like this weird hand. They were really excited to see their guy back. And the fans in Dallas were super excited to cheer for Luka Doncic. I know there's a lot of Lakers fans in attendance too, but that wasn't all Lakers fans cheering every time Luka touched the ball.
A lot of Dallas fans seemingly, like, I saw a bunch of photos of Dallas fans who had their Luka jerseys on and then crossed off and put Lakers over the chest.
Yeah, the Lukers, right? Or something like that too. They were doing that. He got a standing ovation when he left the game, man. Like, that doesn't happen in these return games. But again, the context was different. But if you're Nico Harrison in that moment, so he's sort of just hiding in the tunnel behind several other players or people, and he's just standing there the entire game watching this unfold, hearing the Fire Nico chants. That had to be a surreal experience. And that's why I think it was just so different, because there was a common enemy, but it wasn't the guy coming back. It wasn't the player coming back. It was the guy who traded him away.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was good that they did the tribute video, like, when he got introduced. Like, they made it like a big thing. Like, I think doing it like in a timeout, it would have been like almost like,
yep,
you had to just like, you had to understand. I think whoever designed that and planned that out, like, in that organization, had to know, and I think rightfully, the people that made that decision had to know that, like, when Luka got introduced, it was gonna be crazy.
Yep.
You needed to just, like, give them that moment, that space of almost like healing. This is like the first return game, Wes, to your point, that felt like it was the fans, like, getting a chance to, like, heal. Like, they had the funeral, and this was like the celebration of life, of the Luka Doncic era to some degree. Like, that's what it felt like, and that's there's nothing I can think of. Like, the LeBron thing obviously wasn't like that. The Clay thing I don't even think was like that. Like, there's
because
nothing
even
like
with
this.
Clay, there was still a moment where we saw Steph guard Clay.
Yeah.
And there was a moment there where Steph yells at Klay Thompson. And there was a competitive vitriol there. There was something there. There was none of that with this Luka stuff. No. None of it. None of it from his former teammates. None of it from the crowd. None of it.
Well, and then you get into, like, one of the my favorite notes of the stories that I read was that this was the first. Dirk Nowitzki has been to 2 games since the trade. One was Luka's debut in LA, and this was his first game back at a Mavs game since Luka got traded.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you something about, like, the discontent with someone like Dirk, who is the most famous Maverick ever. Will probably be the most famous.
He's probably the most famous athlete in Dallas sports history.
Oh,
and
no!
Consider that the Cowboys are there. I don't know who's more famous than him.
I just think I just
more beloved.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think our generation would say Dirk. I think, like, people older than us would be like, the '90s Cowboys kind of have a thing, man.
That's like an entity, though. In terms of just an individual athlete, I don't know that anybody's more beloved in Dallas sports history than Dirk. That said, that you're right to point the Dirk thing out, and he's such an important character in all of this, because he is, whether he's the first or second most beloved athlete in Dallas sports history, Mavericks fans are going to follow his lead on this. There's a lot. And if Dirk is only invested in the Luka Doncic of this part, then there's going to be a lot of Mavericks fans who say, you know what? If all Dirk cares about is Luka, then all I care about is Luka. I'm glad you framed it as a funeral. I think that's a really good framing for this, because, or a celebration of life, rather. My other takeaway from this game, was this Luka's best game in a Laker jersey? I think so. Certainly his best first half. And it is, regardless of the stats, the signature game so far of his Lakers tenure.
100%.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
This was the night Luka Doncic became a Laker.
Yeah.
This was a Phoenix rising from the ashes type of thing. He cried. He quite literally broke down before this game, and then rose up in a fury in that first half, and let everybody know, mostly Nico Harrison, standing awkwardly in a tunnel. This is what you gave up, dude. Here's the mistake you made, and I'm gonna make it just rain jumpers on you, and you're not gonna be able to ever escape this. That was the moment to me that he became a Laker. I think not only being able to close the book on the return that everybody saw it on the calendar, knew it was coming, and we knew how emotional it was going to be for Luka. And again, I celebrate for how open and honest he was throughout this whole process. But now it's behind him. And now it's all about that Lakers jersey that he wears. And we're going into the playoffs now, and we're going to talk about some playoff odds and stuff like that with the Lakers. But this is a serious contender that they've got going, and I think Luka is the biggest reason why. He's absolutely transformed that team, and his whole career has been transformed. And I think that was the night where we're going to remember, okay, Luka Doncic, he is a Laker.
Tied his Lakers high with 45. Was 7 to 10 from 3. The pull-up game was there. Had 6 assists, had 8 boards. It was the full Luka package of a game. And it was also one of those games where you felt him and LeBron like hit another, I think, like maybe not another level, but like it's another data point in these guys know how to shift on and off with each other in a way that is very instinctual and very just natural to them. That I think Luka getting this catharsis probably only makes that easier. He now doesn't have to like think about this anymore.
Right.
I mean, Wes, all of us in our life have these things that we leave. And it's not always our choice, or we have to like engage with our past to some degree. We all like need that human catharsis. We all need that like moment of healing. I imagine like even if he's pretty guarded, hasn't really talked about it, he doesn't like owe the media or really anyone but himself. I think like what he's truly feeling in to some of that degree. I have to imagine he leaves this just thinking, to your point, like the night he became a Laker in terms of the statement, but like internally, I imagine this is just like, he gets that done. It's off the board. He doesn't have to think about that date anymore. And now it's just like, I'm good. I'm settled. We got the dub. We got the thing. Clearly, like the Mavericks, like the Mavericks fans, like adore him still. It's not obviously his fault. Even the players, like it was interesting to watch read all the Mavericks quotes and then kind of talk around that night in a lot of ways because what else are you supposed to do? But it's like he can just let that go now, and it's all about April and in May, and if they can get to June.
Yep. He doesn't have to watch another highlight from his time in Dallas for a very long time anymore.
Yeah. They're third in the West right now. Their path right now, if the season ended today, Wes, I got to just say, and a lot could change in the next couple of days. Like this is going to be volatile up until we get the seeding settled. But if they have this upward momentum and the Nuggets, a little struggling, whatever, and they're at 4 right now, Clippers at 5. Lakers, Grizzlies round 1, taking the Lakers easy in that series. If the Rockets get to round 2, it's Lakers, Rockets. Even with home court, I'm taking the Lakers. Like, there's a very clear path to them just being the team that's facing OKC in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah. It's staring us right there.
Well, we're about to get into some of our best playoff bets, so
I'm
going to put a pin in this conversation, unless we want to just jump into that right now.
No, I think it's time to dive into it. I would go read all the stories you can about this night. I'm going to listen to some podcasts. Like, I'm going to be thinking about this night, and like if one day we get a Luka Doncic documentary, this should be a whole episode. Like just like the trade itself is its whole thing. I want just an episode. Like I hope there was behind the scenes stuff on this. I hope there was like we can get interviews about this. Like I want the whole detailing.
One of my favorite anecdotes from this whole thing was that I guess a lot of Luka's old Dallas area sponsors had reached out to the Mavericks to sponsor this event. This is from the Tim McMahon story on ESPN yesterday. And they reached out to Luka's people, however that works, to try to negotiate like a one night essentially sponsorship around this whole deal. And Luka's people were like, no, I play for the Lakers now. I'm not giving the Mavericks any favors.
They should not. Yep. He has every right to be insanely petty about this whole thing. All right, let's go to bets. I have a Lakers one that we can start with if you'd like. I have actually placed this one at BetMGM.
So all of these we found at BetMGM. You can use the code JustBasketball when you sign up for all of the great opportunities over there. Now's the time. right? Now's the time. We're going into the playoffs. Now's betting time.
So this is exact finalists,
Okay.
and I'm going Cavs Lakers at plus 1800.
Okay. So you and I were thinking the same thing. So for reference here, at BetMGM, Celtics Thunder is at plus 185.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem worth it. Right?
No.
And that's not even saying that the Celtics and Thunder aren't the favorites, because obviously they are, but one injury, Jason Tatum tweaks an ankle, your bet just gets lit on fire. You know what I mean? So it's not worth the payout at plus 185. So I started looking at other ones. So you had Thunder Cavs. What did you say the odds were on that?
I have Cavs. I have Cavs Lakers.
Oh, Cavs Lakers.
Yes.
So what is that? Like plus 1700?
Plus 1800.
Plus 1800.
Get that at plus 1800, and it's just I think this is plausible. I don't think it's obviously the most likely. It takes some certain things to happen. I think it's very possible, Wes, that like OKC just runs rampant in the West, and like this just is. It's like I threw, I only did like half a unit on this, but it's like a very modicum amount of money thrown in this. But it's like, if I think about what is the most chaotic finals for me personally this year that is plausible, it is this. It is LeBron and Luka playing against LeBron's former team. And then there's also this massive Slovenia pop. Like when Luka plays in Cleveland, it is like an absolute zoo of Slovenian crowd and hype.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs this year, first time they've been a 1 seed without LeBron. They've like finally turned this corner in a real way without LeBron on their team and achieved great success. One of the best stories in the league this year. Is the final boss staring down at them to actually win a title? Is it actually just LeBron?
I love this as a story.
It would be incredible. It would be like an absolute pandemonium moment. I would probably go into severe credit card debt to get good seats for one of these finals. Like I'd have to go to one of the games. Even,
It's absolutely crazy that this is on the table. This is legitimately on the table. The Lakers are a contender. The Cavaliers are obviously a contender. This is on the table. I'm so glad you brought this up. I have not heard this or seen this brought up anywhere else, but there is a path where the Cavaliers have to take down LeBron James in order to win their first championship and only championship
without
LeBron James.
Yeah. And LeBron, to get his 5th ring, he has to take the team down that he is.
Oh, my God.
That I am personally, I think he will go down most associated with.
Oh, yeah.
That he could he
emotionally do it? Could he get there? Could he take down the Cavs?
He kind of had, like, he doesn't have a choice,
I guess so.
Like, he has to kind of, like, almost, like, go full heel again to really do it, is the thing. He can't.
You have to hit this next level of, I just want to win so bad. I wonder if there was, like, half a percentage point in LeBron James's body somewhere where he's kind of rooting for Cleveland. Finals where he's playing against Cleveland.
Yeah, and it's like, there's no finals, I think, that would have this amount of, like, Lakers Celtics would obviously be like a big thing for the league broadly. I don't think there would be as much like messiness of any possible finals matchup that is realistic than LeBron versus the Cavs.
It is the best storyline. That's
and then you sprinkle Luka back into it, and it's just like fuck me. What do you even do with this? It would be nuts.
So I was looking at Celtics Lakers.
Yeah, that's
just the class. It would be the best possible thing for the NBA. That's at plus 1100.
Yeah,
that's at plus 1100. So this is really a Lakers question. Are we really buying the Lakers as a viable championship contender? So you already laid out the standings part. As long as they're in this 3 spot, which it looks like they're gonna hold on to 3, right? You've already met Denver's kind of sliding. The Clippers, they've won 6 in a row. They're only a game back, which is crazy. But I think the Lakers will hold on. What's the rest of the Lakers schedule here? Because if they win out, basically they'll have it. They play Houston on Friday night and then in Portland. So as long as that's a big game. As long as the Lakers beat Houston on Friday, they probably end up staying at 3. They're too far back to catch Houston at number 2 now.
They are 90%. Playoffstatus.com has them at 90% chance of being the 3 seed.
Okay, perfect. Even better than my confusing thing. So that puts the Lakers on the opposite side of the bracket than OKC. I think the Lakers beat the 6th seed, whether it's the Grizzlies or the Clippers or the Nuggets even. I think the Lakers win that series. The Nuggets could give them a problem, but I think the Lakers probably win that series. The Nuggets have a lot of things going on. Then they'd have to beat the Rockets. I think the Lakers would beat the Rockets. And then you have a matchup against the Thunder. And we just saw, I mean, Luka got kicked out halfway through the fourth quarter. The Lakers were up one. It was a 1-point game when they played the Thunder a couple nights ago. They blew them out on Sunday. And then they were winning the game when Luka got ejected.
Yeah.
Wrongly ejected. And they probably could have won that game. I thought the Lakers were outplaying the Thunder up to that point. So I think the Lakers would have won that game. The Lakers can beat the Thunder. I think the Thunder are awesome. I don't know who I would pick in that series, but there is no question that the Lakers could beat the Thunder.
I mean, the Luka factor in that becomes the reason to believe that it's possible, because we saw what he did to them last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like this is like you don't have proof of concept here. It's obviously a different kind of roster. There's not a rim threat in the same way that versus what Dallas had last year. But it's like him and LeBron and Reeves as just like an offensive engine versus like what we know Luka can do there. I would be very tempted. The Thunder would be favorites. They deserve to be. I would be really, really tempted to pick the Lakers in that series, especially if we see them just look awesome in the first two series of these playoffs.
So 3 other teams I want to sort of lob at you to potentially win the Western Conference.
Okay.
The Nuggets at plus 1,100.
Okay.
The Clippers at plus 1,700. The Warriors at plus 600. I'm actually going to throw a fourth team in there. The Timberwolves at plus 2,000. So
really, yeah.
Warriors, Nuggets, Clippers, Timberwolves. Would you ever, like, are you believing on this Clippers? Are you jumping on the Clippers train here? I love so much of what the Clippers are about this year. Plus 1,700? Is that worth a sprinkle?
It's worth a sprinkle. Their title odds are at plus 4,000 right now. Warriors plus 1,200, Lakers plus 1,200, Nuggets plus 2,200.
That seems like if you really believe in them, but I mean, maybe go that way, but I kind of like the just win the Western Conference, because I don't know that any of these teams could beat Boston and Cleveland if they somehow make it past the Thunder.
I mean, look, if Kawhi stays healthy and plays like how he's playing, you could convince me of a bunch of things here.
Yeah, the Clippers, again, there's so much I like about them. Zubac has a triple-double on Wednesday night, the night before we're recording this, but I won't believe. Is it a worse bet to think that Kawhi or Kristaps Porzingis will get through the playoffs healthy? You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's right there.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
I can't bring myself to get to the Clippers. The Nuggets, I don't know what to think about them. Does this late firing give them almost a playoff boost? I don't know. They just the defense is still what it is. I don't see it getting much better. They're still underwater on the math part of it on the three-pointers.
Jamal Murray's hamstring just scared. I'm not
touching.
I'm not touching them with a 10,000-foot pole just until I see Jamal Murray look good for like a week straight.
Warriors or Timberwolves then?
Probably the Warriors, just because Steph, Draymond, Jimmy Butler. Like it might just in equity. Like it might be that I might default to that, even if Ant's playing out of his mind. Even if like the Wolves have found something again. Gobert is playing as well as he has in a long time. I just trust like the nucleus a little bit more of the older Warriors than I do the Wolf side of it.
I kind of like, but if I'm getting Minnesota at plus 2,000, I'm
F it.
I feel, I think the Warriors can make the Western Conference Finals. I just don't see them making the finals. I've been wrong before on the Warriors. If I'm wrong again, that's fine. I just don't really see it for them. With Minnesota, I at least see, like, I can squint and be like, oh, this team matches up well against Denver. This team actually can play the Thunder. Like, there's ways I can see them matching up where the Warriors just have real questions about them in certain matchups in the West. But I like where both of our heads are at here in terms of just the finals matchup: Celtics Lakers or Cavs Lakers. That's where the real money is. If you're gonna make a bet, it's almost again Celtics Thunder is at plus 185. It's just not worth it.
No,
like that should have been like if you bet that before the year and there's a lot of people doing it, that was the time to do it. Now it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, and I think with the way Cleveland has played the last couple of weeks, I think the thought has shifted back a little bit over to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I think that feels a little bit like Cleveland is kind of coasted a little bit to me, more than any like real issues. But I mean, maybe Boston obviously has those games have been really close, but Boston's been really good against them this year in some very, very competitive games.
Pacers Lakers plus 25,000.
You love the Pacers.
I'm a Pacers guy. All right. Here's another one that I found on BetMGM.
All right, hit me.
The conference that wins the championship.
Okay.
I think these odds are way out of whack. You can get the East at plus 105. The West is at minus 125. Now, again, you're not getting a lot there, but why are the odds favoring the West so much? Is it Thunder, Lakers, Warriors? Is that just what it is? Is it public money? Because
Yeah.
the East, even if the Thunder do make the finals, I think the Cavs or the Celtics could both beat them. I don't think the Thunder are this much of a world beater, or should be considered that much of a heavy favorite over the Celtics or Cavs. So I just think those odds are out of whack.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's like an OKC has been the dominant team in the league this year. I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think then it's also like, okay, let's say the Lakers win it. It's like, are people going to pick against LeBron and Luka in the finals? I would guess no.
No, and I think there's just a general view that the West is better than the East. But I think the East has two of the best three teams in the league.
Yes.
And that's why I think the odds. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I just wanted to point it out because it's not even at plus 105. It's not. It's whatever. You might as well. Pick
still
the
plus
teams you think are going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, even plus money, I would say like there's still I think some value in that. I think in particular just because I think there's the other thing about the East is that Boston repeating is not something that like a repeat champion has not happened much recently. It is really like the Warriors dynasty, and if Boston does it, it would kind of be bucking history to some degree. They have.
I've said this before. I think the best way or the worst thing that you've got going for yourself in Adam Silver's NBA if you want to win a championship is having won the championship the previous year.
Yeah.
Give me your next bet.
All right, so Donovan Mitchell, he's over under for points per game in the playoffs is at 24.
Yes.
I love this. I'm nuking the over.
Okay.
I'm nuking the over.
I love this. So you think Donovan, like I'm on a first name basis. You think Donovan Mitchell has been not sandbagging, or not coasting, because obviously he could finish, fourth or fifth in the MVP race. But you think you think there's a playoff Donovan Mitchell thing? You think that he might kick it up into high gear in the postseason?
This is like 28 per game career guy in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I do think like they've had games where in the fourth quarter they are so far ahead he doesn't really need to do anything. They've diversified the offense in a real way, but you think about what's going to happen in the playoffs. It is going to contract. Ty Jerome you're not going to get as many of those kind of things. I think you've seen in some of their close games, a Boston game in particular, an OKC game here, like you've seen Donovan Mitchell reach back and say like, I'm going to own this and dominate games and be the big scorer. And like he recently, I think it was a game I was at, that was the game he had like 40 for the first time this year. I think like the energy he's going to have going into the playoffs when they inevitably get into close series, it is going to be Mitchell going to prove a point and going back to being something of that alpha. I think against Boston in particular, he seems to love playing against Boston and really attacking them. It's a tough matchup for Garland. It's been when Porzingis is healthy, that's been a tough scoring matchup for Evan Mobley. I think it's going to be a big Mitchell playoffs. If the Cavs are going to go on a run, this is at minus 115. So you're not, you're playing this pretty straight. But I think over 24 for Mitchell just feels like a thing that is going to happen for him during this playoff run. I would be shocked if he has a bad playoffs, and I think the energy he's going to have going into it, provided the ankle tweak he just had doesn't hinder him in any way, I think he is primed to just be an absolute monster. I think like it's not that we've forgotten, but it's just like been a little bit for him having these big playoff moments. I think we're due for a Mitchell goes off kind of run.
I think this is a great call. You mentioned a lot of things that I don't think a lot of people would think about, and that's what's great about having somebody that's watching every single Cavs game on here is they know these things. They know the trends, and they know the behavior of the player and all this stuff. I think it's a great call. I have a similar one with the playoff points per game. They have like playoff points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game that they're going to average in the playoffs. I love all of it. You mentioned my love for the Pacers. I got Pascal Siakam. Can you believe what his... You want to guess what his over-under is for points per game?
I haven't seen this one. I'm going to guess something lower, like 15.5.
Oh my God, I wish. No, it's 20.4.
Okay.
He's been way over that the last 2 years. He was averaging 22 per game last playoffs. With Toronto, it was over 21 per game. Pascal Siakam is having arguably his best season. You could argue that he's been Indiana's best player for the balance of the season, considering that
Yeah.
Halliburton started off slowly. He's an awesome playoff guy. Like Pascal Siakam is a bona fide playoff performer. I am going way over on 20 and a half, 20.4 points per game for him in the playoffs. I'm going way over that. And I'm getting that at minus 115. All these odds are like basically minus 115. But I love it. I love Siakam on the over.
I do too. I mean, they right now, if we're looking at seeding in the East, I'm going to go back to playoff status. If you look at the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are 96% chance to be the 4 seed as of right now. Slight chance to slip to 5, but pretty lock. Seems like we're getting Pacers Bucks round 1. It's where the numbers seem to suggest we're going. Which love the tension of that series, considering the dust ups those two teams have had this year. He will be a big deal in that series. That feels a little bit more like a Halliburton series to me than a Siakam series, but I think they'll need his aggression and all of that in that series. You get to Cleveland. For them to beat Cleveland, or at least push Cleveland in a possible round 2, him scoring on Evan Mobley is an absolute must. Like, they're going to just have to find points, him attacking Mobley and Jared Allen, who I think, and maybe DeAndre Hunter as well. They're going to need, like, big Siakam games, I think, to kind of push the teams there, because even if he's getting the toughest defensive matchup, I think, Wes, like, that is a guy, and it's a guy, to your point, has been awesome this year. Like, I think I think him and Zubac should be, like, captains of my underrated seasons people aren't talking about enough team.
I love Zubac, man. We can keep talking about Zubac. I won't complain about it.
Are you nuking the over on his rebounds? I haven't looked if that's even a thing, but are you nuking that?
I haven't looked at what the number is. I mean, what would the number have to be for you? I mean, if it's still tough. It's tough to average rebounds in the playoffs. Those numbers are always weird because you have a lot of gang rebounding. Everybody starts trying a little bit harder. But I don't know. What's your next one?
I've got to make the playoffs. The Chicago Bulls are plus 225.
Okay, I love this. So you can parlay the Bulls and the Magic together.
Yeah,
and you could put $100 and double your money easily.
Be responsible. That's only advice. Magic minus 800, Bulls a plus 225. Those are the two teams that I like the most in there.
Yeah, I love that. You could throw the Mavs or the Kings in there, but I don't think anybody on the low. I don't think anybody that 9-10 range is coming out of the West. But if you're feeling really saucy, you could go that way.
The Bulls just have like a style of play. They have an energy. They have like an identity right now, and I just like watching them play. I trust what they're doing. I think they've found something. And if you just think about like they need to win. They're probably going to need to win 2. They need if they stay at 9, they're going to need to win twice. They're going to need to beat Miami and then beat the loser of Orlando and Atlanta if that's how the shakes out. And they're only half a game behind Atlanta. They're a game ahead of the Heat. They could maybe get to 8 and just have to win 1 game.
Yeah.
They have the ingredients. Like, they're going to get shellacked in round 1 if they end up being like the 8 seed and play Cleveland. They're not beating Cleveland in a series. No chance in hell. But can they just like beat one of these teams? Yes. And that's the team at plus money. Mm-hmm. And I just think the Bulls have like really kind of improved and found something towards the end of the year. Like, if you watch them, they're awesome.
Yeah, since the trade deadline, they're like 12th in net rating, I think. I think I have that right. They're right around there. They're near the top of the league in pace. They've kind of got a little bit of what the Pacers discovered last year, where you get into it. I mean, they're playing like Kobe White at small forward. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what this team is doing. And they're running the doors off of guys, off these teams. And, I just watched the Heat lose to the Bulls on Wednesday night, and they just couldn't get a hold on it. It was like trying to catch a fish with your bare hands. Like they were just like, what? How fast are we gonna play? And it just I think you watch the Bulls, and they're always catching teams by surprise by just how much they run. They are running off of makes. They're running off of misses. Giddey has been awesome for them. He's averaging basically a triple-double over the last 10 games, 18, 10, and 10 essentially. I think the Bulls I think the Magic would beat the Hawks. Bulls beat the Heat. Then Bulls beat the Hawks. And I think we have Magic, Bulls as our final 2 playoff teams in the East.
Yeah, and if you get Cleveland, Chicago, and Boston, Orlando in round 1. It's not bad.
Yeah, and look, I'm with you. Chicago's not going to beat Cleveland, but it's just it's one of those teams that's just sort of annoying.
The Giddy thing would also be really fun to see in the playoffs against like a team now that Clit has Hunter, has Struce to like put like wings on him. Dean Wade if he's healthy. Like seeing how I just want to see it just for the Giddy part of it because like how much of this is real. Did they like do better on that trade than we thought at the time is a thing that I think we have to consider now. But
I like that trade when they made it. I thought
you liked it
everybody
more
was
than I did. Yeah, way too hard
everybody
on
was
it.
way
Yeah.
too hard on him. I like Caruso, but he wasn't doing anything for Chicago. With Giddey, you got a former top 10 pick with real talent, real skills, who could kind of be a focal point of your offense. I loved it when they made it. I thought it was a nice value play for them.
If they just
Giddey,
hadn't signed Patrick Williams in conjunction with that, I think I would have, in retrospect, liked their offseason like a lot more than I do.
and the Patrick Williams thing is still not aging well. I'm not here I'm not gonna start showering Chicago with needless praise, but yeah, I think the Giddey thing works. He's got the ball in his hands. Kobe White is more than comfortable kind of being the second banana. And by the way, in March, Kobe White was awesome. So, he's got that potential to be a microwave scorer and go off. It's just, they're one of those teams where they're like, oh my God, like Josh Giddey had, 18, 12, and 10. Kobe White had made 5 3-pointers. Patrick Williams made a couple from the corner. And now we're dead. And I can't believe we lost a game. I can't believe if you're Cleveland, I can't believe we lost a playoff game to this team.
Yeah. You got another? You have another one?
I have 2 more.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Finals MVP. If I can't see anybody on Boston other than Tatum winning it, it's just been a bad Jaylen Brown year. And even if the Celtics win it, they're never gonna give Jaylen Brown back-to-back Finals MVPs. There's nobody else on Boston that makes any sense. If Cleveland wins it, maybe it's Donovan Mitchell, maybe it's Evan Mobley. You can kind of talk. Maybe Garland just goes off. I think there's a lot of guys on Cleveland where you can kind of picture them.
Garland and Mobley both at plus 4,000 is like, let me sprinkle just a little bit on this to see if it hits. I think
I really like the Garland one, but if you're doing one, you might as well do the other. And so I like that one. And then for OKC. No matter who they meet in the playoffs, everybody's going to throw everything they have at Shea. Is there a world where it's Thunder Celtics, Thunder Cavs, whatever, and those teams are throwing all their best defenders at Shea, and Jalen Williams just goes off? I think there is.
Yeah,
he's at plus 8,000.
They have another one at plus 8,000 in Chet that I'd be like.
That's the same thing. I would do the same thing as you would do like Garland and Mobley. While you're here, you might as well sprinkle a little bit on Jalen Williams, do a little bit on Chet. It wouldn't be crazy for one of them to win Finals MVP. We see this all the time,
Yeah. I have one more that we'll do here. Just scrolling up to the odds to look at it. So I want to go back to. I wish I could bet some of these like Easter I wish I could bet like Easter make the Eastern Conference Finals or something sort of random, and so be like, could I talk about the Pistons in some way? Not going to do that here. This is also in Finals MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go back to the Lakers, I'm just going to look at LeBron James for a second.
Yep.
He's also at plus 4,000.
Yep. Could he get the legacy MVP if the Lakers win the championship? Absolutely.
If they play Cleveland and like beat Cleveland or he beats Boston, I kind of think he's just getting it. Like I kind of think I don't mean to be like a Homer or LeBron like glazing here, but like more
if Luka's just setting him up for cuts and LeBron is playing his butt off defensively, and all of a sudden we've seen this new version of LeBron in the finals, and that's the narrative that we have. It's like, oh my God, this new version of 40-year-old LeBron James is this two-way juggernaut who's finishing plays, and that's just what we're talking about for an entire final series. Why not?
I think Draymond
triple-double in the finals too.
Yeah, I don't think they're likely to get there. But Draymond at plus 50,000 is also just like, I think that's too long. It's the same as Van Vliet and Ja and Cade and Norman Powell and Jared Allen. Amen Thompson has better odds than Draymond for Finals MVP. Like also very long. But
Yeah.
it's like you tell me like if the Warriors
This is
make
one
the
of those like
finals,
Super Bowl bet odds though. This is like a Super Bowl prop bet. You're like, the fullback could get 10 yards receiving, like, and you just start like $1 for an
yeah,
$800
yeah.
payout, and you're like, might as well.
Yeah, someone bet Kyle Juszczyk in one of the Niners Super Bowls and like paid for a really nice dinner after it.
Right.
That's kind of the energy we're talking about here.
My last one here.
Okay.
MVP. Regular season MVP.
Okay.
I'm going here, Chris.
Jokic.
Yes. So SGA is at minus 3,000. He
Yeah.
was the runaway favorite on Bontemps' straw poll. I submitted my ballot with SGA on top for Bontemps' final straw poll. Full disclosure. Jokic at plus 1,000. This could be like one of those surprise Oscars moments where you're like, I thought everybody agreed that this was the best movie, and then this one ended up winning the Oscar for Best Picture. I have seen, outside of Bontemps' straw poll, anecdotally, other ballots, like people, you see people publishing their stuff all over the internet. A lot more people have Jokic than I thought. And I'm wondering if there's an undercurrent of Jokic brewing here where the Thunder exuberance has sort of worn off, especially after they lost to the Lakers over the weekend. And as soon as the 70 win mark was busted for them, I think some of the exuberance kind of fell off. I think some of the shine on Oklahoma City. I don't think we're as excited about Oklahoma City's dominance as we were. That was a storyline a week ago. It's not really a storyline now. Jokic is very much in the picture. The Michael Malone firing could work against him because it's just a dirty, kind of weird year and nobody really knows what's going on. It could work for him and say, wow, he carried this Nuggets team that was dealing with injuries to their other star player, Jamal Murray, and all this other stuff, while the coach was in the midst of getting fired. He carried this Nuggets team to the 4 seed or whatever they're going to end up being. That could work in his favor. And I wonder if there's going to be just a late current of Jokic support here. Ballots aren't due until Monday, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I did my final ballot yesterday, and I really sat down with it. And I had SGA on top of my straw poll all year long, maybe outside the first one. I think I had Jokic on the first one. I've had SGA ever since then. I really sat there and got really close to going Jokic. I mean, when people really sit down to do their official ballots, they're going to see some of these numbers, and they're going to be like, I don't know. Like, can I really vote against this guy?
Every single person I've heard talk about this on a podcast that has a vote or like engages in a very thoughtful way, like Zach Lowe being back and talking about this, for instance, makes me think this is closer than it is. Wouldn't shock me. Really would not shock me if Jokic won it.
At plus 1,000.
That's just worth a little dalliance. What's the most interesting award race to you right now?
Defensive player
Is it
of the year.
MVP?
And I think
I
think we're going to look back on this year and we're going to get it really. We're probably going to get it wrong. Draymond might end up getting it, and if he ends up, and I think we'll live with it because he probably should have more than one Defensive Player of the Year award on his resume. But I think we're going to look back on this year and be like, yeah, we kind of didn't really understand what we were looking at.
The odds are not up right now on BetMGM. We can't even bet on it right now when I looked.
Right. I couldn't find him either.
Darius Garland also has now
BetMGM.
weighted. I wonder if it's just so volatile that they're just like I bet Mobley plus money when the market shifted a little bit between him and Jaren, and that has obviously now like evolved 7, 8, 9, 10 times since now. You have Darius Garland kind of like poking fun at Draymond a little bit here with some comments recently. I'm gonna say Mobley, but you could tell me it's Dort comes out of nowhere and wins it.
You think Mobley should win it? I'm not away from the guessing. Like, who would you vote for Defensive Player of the Year?
I'd probably go Dort.
So I was all in on Dort for probably a couple of weeks, and I thought that's where I was going to go with this. And I had Mobley as a close second.
Yeah.
I did my ballot yesterday. I did not have Mobley in my top 3.
Oh.
I did not have Draymond in my top 3. I didn't have Zubac in my top 3, who I really wanted to just kind of shoehorn in there because I love his season. I ended up having Amen Thompson number 1.
Okay.
with
So I
Dort
figured
and Daniels finishing out. So I had all wings on my final top 3 ballot.
this isn't a perfect indicator of this, Wes, but I just want to this dunks in threes, and this includes Wembanyama, and
Yeah.
obviously he's ineligible. But this is the defensive estimated plus minus leaders. I'm going to read you through the list
Yep.
right now. Caruso is 1.
Not eligible.
Wemby's 2.
Not eligible.
Amon Thompson's 3.
Yep.
Draymond's
Draymond.
4.
Yep.
Gobert's 5. Asar Thompson is 6.
Not eligible.
Yeah. Chris Dunn is 7.
Not eligible.
Jonathan Isaac 8.
Not eligible.
Hartenstein 9. Zubac 10.
Hartenstein not eligible. Zubac has been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and some of this, I love dunks and threes, but yeah, you get guys like Chris Dunn and Jonathan Isaac. They're almost helped by the fact that they maximize their efforts in small minute windows.
Yes.
Amen Thompson's not doing that, dude. That guy's playing 30-plus minutes a night. He's playing multiple positions. He has one of the highest matchup difficulties in the NBA. He's awesome in isolation. I talked about this on Real Jam Radio on Monday. I did a whole monologue on Amen Thompson. And he is, I think, I don't think we've seen a young defender burst onto the scene this way since Kawhi 12 years ago. It's like that, what he's doing. His block and steal rates are insane. He's making game-changing defensive plays. And then you look at, okay, the Rockets were out of the playoffs last year, and now they're going to be the 2 seed. What's the biggest thing, Chris? What is the biggest thing you would say has changed between the Rockets last year and the Rockets this year?
Amen Thompson.
Amen Thompson. Not only is he a starter, but his development. He is the biggest difference. And there's a lot of other things that you can give credit to. And I think Udoka's done a really good job, and I had him 3rd on my Coach of the Year ballot. But Amen Thompson's the thing that has changed everything, it feels like, for Houston. So it's also been a better Jalen Green year, a better Fred VanVleet year, and things like that. But still, he's been awesome.
There's going to be like a bunch of guys that feel like they deserve to win it this year, and like White are going to be like lower on the voting than they should be. It's just one of those. I think you're right that this is just going to be one of those awards we look back at and are like, what was really going on here?
That's why I think the Dyson Daniels stuff I had a really hard time because the Hawks defense is so bad, and it's actually better with Dyson Daniels on the bench than it is with him out there. And so I kind of was ruling him out because I'm like, is he just kind of a steals guy and not much else? And then you look at the stats, and his, again, one of the highest matchup difficulties in the league. You think about, okay, who's the other good defender in Atlanta, and there isn't one. It's just Dyson Daniels, and that's it. And so many of his minutes come alongside Trae Young because Trae Young is so bad that's really why the on-off splits are what they are with Daniels on the court. But I think this was I was usually against perimeter guys and wings and guards winning Defensive Player of the Year because I generally just believe the taller players are better at defense than the shorter players.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that's the fact, but like Marcus Smart, sorry, dude. Like that's just the way it is. But this year is the first year in NBA history, and I think I have this right. I think I saw this with Goldsberry or something, tweet this out or in one of his pieces, that there are a lot of teams taking more threes than twos. Like it's the first time there's more missed 3-point attempts than there are missed 2-point attempts or something crazy. It's like a crazy stat. The point being is that the league has never relied more on 3-pointers than it has up until this point. And that would make you think that maybe the perimeter defense is more important for the first time than some of this rim defense. And I know that's not exactly true, but I think we're entering a point in the NBA where some of this perimeter defense stuff is going to be as important as the rim protection stuff. And if that's the case, then yeah, I think more of these perimeter defenders should be on ballots. And I did my thing, and I was like, I think these have been the 3 best defenders: Amen Thompson, Lou Dort, Dyson Daniels. I think they've been the 3 best defenders this season of the guys who are eligible.
Can't wait to see who wins this. I think
it won't be any of those guys. It'll be Draymond.
Which like fine, like he did the campaigning thing better than anybody, which does matter. It does matter.
It makes a difference. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah. It's a good way.
He doesn't deserve Defensive Player of the Year, and I love Draymond. There's not a player I like watching more when he's fully dialed in, I think, on the defensive end than Draymond Green. Let's not sit here and pretend he's been doing like he's got a podcast and he showed up for 2 really big games. Come on.
It's valid. All right. I'm Chris Manning. That's Wes Goldberg. That was our run through Luka and a bunch of fun bets. I am now even more excited for the play. I just need the playoffs now, Wes. Like, I know we got a couple more days. Just get me to next.
Let's not just skip right over Heat Wizards on Sunday, okay?
Okay, just 30 seconds. Are you just ready for this Heat season to be done?
Yes. I don't even need 30 seconds.
Okay. I was watching the hero thing against the Bulls, and I was like, I'm sure Wes is just ready to forget this, to get done with the season and see when they get ready for them to trade Kevin Durant in July.
Yep.
That's where we're at. Talk to you guys next week. Gonna attach our bandwagons to different players we're rooting for to succeed in these playoffs. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the hoops. We'll talk to you soon.